If you're truly chosen by God, one of the battles you'll face that nobody warns you about is the quiet, shame-soaked war with lust, and not because you're weak, but because you carry something holy the enemy is desperate to corrupt. The first reason chosen ones secretly struggle with lust is because isolation becomes their normal. The more God sets you apart, the lonelier the path becomes. And in that emotional wilderness, temptation often disguises itself as comfort. Just like when Jesus was led into the desert to be tempted after being anointed by the Spirit in Luke chapter 4 verse 1. You crave connection, but the enemy twists that hunger into a flesh-driven need, offering temporary intimacy as a counterfeit for divine affirmation. The second reason is that spiritual warfare is more intense for the chosen. Your anointing paints a target on your back. And lust isn't just about sex. It's about distraction, disconnection, and destruction. Samson was anointed, but it was Delilah who nearly destroyed him, not by force, but by seduction, because the enemy knows you won't fall from pressure, but from pleasure. Third, many chosen people grew up misunderstood or emotionally starved, and now you're vulnerable to anyone who offers the attention you never received. So the enemy sends people who affirm your flesh while silently draining your spirit. You're drawn to them not because you're wicked, but because they echo the love you always longed for. But like Proverbs chapter 5 warns, the lips of the forbidden drip honey, but the end is bitter as wormwood. Fourth, your spiritual sensitivity makes you deeply emotional. And when emotions aren't submitted to the Spirit, they drive impulsive choices. David was a man after God's heart. Yet his unguarded emotions led him straight into Bathsheba's arms. Proof that even the anointed can be seduced when they let their guard down. You sense things deeply, feel things more intensely, but if you don't train your emotions to submit to the Spirit, they'll pull you into situations you'll regret. And fifth, chosen people often carry a deep well of creative, prophetic, or leadership energy, and that power, when misdirected, turns inward into desire and becomes corrupted. What should be used to serve the kingdom becomes consumed by internal cravings. Lust becomes a side effect of undeployed purpose. Because you weren't made to sit still, you were made to pour out. But when you don't, the hunger turns carnal. That's why the most gifted, prophetic, worship-filled believers often wrestle silently with private sin. They're pouring out spiritually while drying up emotionally. Romans chapter 7 verse 23 talks about the war within your members. This isn't just metaphorical. It's real spiritual chaos. You're not evil. You're just in the crosshairs. And if you don't confront it, the lust you ignore will become the chain that delays your calling. This isn't a struggle you should deny, it's one you must surrender. God is not surprised by your weakness, He's just waiting for your honesty. Don't let shame keep you bound. Cry out like David did in Psalm chapter 51 verse 10. Create in me a clean heart, O God, because freedom doesn't begin with perfection. It begins with brokenness. And until you face the lust that hides behind your anointing, you'll keep tripping in private while preaching in public. God didn't call you to be talented and tormented. He called you to be holy and whole. Stop pretending it's not there. Start fighting like your calling depends on it, because it does.